From our shack to yours, this is Coffee and Ham Radios. We are live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Hope everybody's having a great time. And I'm a little tired. I was out working yesterday. Back to work. I mean, retirement's over. No, I'm building a yurt, and we got to the point where it was like, oh, wow, we're going to put the roof up, and then we found out the cable they sent us was for a 16-foot wide yurt, not a 12-foot wide yurt. So that stopped everything in its place. So
how
today
big
we
is
have
this yurt that you're doing? How wide is it?
It's 12 foot around. It's actually the guy says we should, because the gal that we're doing it for, she's like, I hear it takes like 3 days to put that thing up. I'm thinking,
so far it seems like it's been 3 or 4 weeks, Chuck.
But now it will. No, I'm talking about the top part. It has been, because we had to do the foundation part first, and that took a little bit. We did it.
Is alcohol a factor in this thing too?
Not until 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
That's when
it's
all the
always
work
5
gets
o'clock
done.
somewhere.
That's right.
So today we have Colin MM0OPX, which is a tough one to put out there. How do you do that when you call CQ? Is it pretty easy for you?
It's pretty easy, but yeah, it's actually, unbeknown to me, it's actually better for CW that even though it's quite a long call in CW, everyone picks it up like first time,
really?
especially in the contest. That you know the da 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 da. It just seems to.
I didn't get any of that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we're going to put you on hold a second. We're going to go over to Tio. Tio, what you got going on these days? Anything good? Any fun?
I never do anything good. I am stuck in the frozen north, and nothing ever happens up here besides snow. It's kind of ridiculous. It's April. It's still snowing.
Did you get your antenna?
Yesterday was not yet. Are you kidding me? These
It
fingers are
worked.
not meant for cold weather.
It worked the other day. We don't know why,
Because it snowed. Yeah,
So the snow made a bridge.
I guess.
That's why you
I don't know.
That's why you kept the wattage down so you wouldn't melt the snow.
And it only worked on 20 meters. It didn't work on 40 meters. So
We're going to try and get multiple people. 20 was a better bet anyhow.
It's only supposed to rain later in this afternoon, so maybe between then and now I can go out and test some coax and do some other stuff. I don't know.
There you go. And then we have the Smoking Ape. Ape, what is going on? Any videos out lately? I haven't seen any videos lately.
No, I think I'm on day 10 with no video.
So. The cleanse, the detox.
Yeah, but the next one will be epic. Rest assured.
Epic.
Yeah.
The most used
for me,
word
my big plan right now is that I got some charcoal out in the garage, and I got the grill cleaned up in the backyard, and I am going to be taking pieces of that animal and cooking them over fire all day.
Fire!
Do you have the rotisserie thing over the fire that you can just turn it by hand, or?
I do not. So I've had like so many different grills and barbecues and smokers and all that stuff. And I think it was about 2 years ago, I got rid of everything except for 28-inch Weber cattle, and I'm just having a blast on that. And
my buddy built one of those. Took a 55-gallon drum, a clean one, burned it out anyhow, and puts charcoal on the bottom, put holes in the bottom, and all these little things. You hang tri-tips in there. Oh my God, it's good. It's really good.
Well, tri-tips are really big in California. It's not for whatever reason. It's not as popular across the rest of the country. But
right.
It is tri-tip is a good cut. I've actually had it in San Francisco. They do like a rosemary seed. It's not like the rest of the country is like, vinegary, salty, sweet, savory barbecue. That tri-tip is a little different, but it's good.
I'll throw a little rosemary on the barbecue every once in a while I'm cooking. It gets a little different taste to it. But And then we got the Big Jim. Got his nice shirt on today. He's stepping it up here for us.
He's going fishing.
I put on a clean shirt every day. Every day. I may not shave, but I put on a clean shirt every day. I have a judgmental 11-year-old. Is that a clean shirt? You're not going on that camera with a dirty shirt, are you?
You look great, man. I love those shirts. Those are super comfortable shirts.
So I switched from polo shirts to these for wearing to work. And, I'm a computer guy anyway, so it's like they expect that sort of thing, and very comfortable.
Yeah.
And I can go fishing right after work and no one.
Looking awesome. So, Colin, we're back to you. What's your newest project that you got going right now?
It's probably the 80-meter vertical. I've shared the 80 meter vertical project, the linear loaded for 80 meter, but it's not been quite as straightforward as it sounds. It needs some matching, so I've had to put a little inductor, some inductance and some capacitance in it. So I've done that. So I now need to get that back out and get it tested. Ape's got a picture of that somewhere. I sent him through that last night. So no, that's the latest project. So I think 80 meters is one of those bands that a lot of us don't tend to bother about. I don't anyway, and it's hard. It's hard to work DX on 80 meters. You know, for us, we have to be up through the middle of the night, and even then, the band's not always open. You know, so it's not an easy band.
It's a lot like that here too.
Yeah,
I used to have a group of guys that I get up about 1:30 in the morning here, and I get into New
You're
York.
an old man.
No, I would wake up
See a
and go
doctor about that.
certain days, and
I still haven't gone to bed at 1:30.
yeah, sometimes that's the case too. But it's getting harder to stay up that late for me. But I get into New York sometimes, but never out of the United States. But most of the guys I talk to were in Indianapolis and Ohio, you know, all that area right in there.
Yeah,
Which is pretty good jaunt. I mean, what was I using? I'm using my doublet for that. I also had the DX Commander up for a while and had it not a linear loaded, but I just
What's
did
that like?
an inverted L. What's that? Well,
You've heard of the
Having an
DX
antenna.
Commander, right?
it didn't really
I had one
beat out.
once.
Yeah, you did too. It didn't really beat out my doublet, though. I'll tell you the truth. It was nice having both though, because you know how verticals supposedly are noisier a lot of times.
Yep.
But the noise sometimes is better than the dipole for hearing people sometimes. So I would switch back and forth because I could do it real easy, and that was kind of cool. But yeah, if you guys don't know it, Colin's channel is about making antennas, a lot of it, and he does some really cool antennas. I built one of his antennas, and it works really good. I actually I don't want to say the word prefer, but if I'm going to set something up quick, it's a little bit faster than the DX Commander, I think. But similar type of a.
I don't want Chuck to get upset, but Colin's got one of the best antenna channels on YouTube, in my opinion. I mean,
he does.
He's
a lot more technical than I am, man.
I don't know about that, Chuck. You're pretty technical too.
No, I can build stuff, but you got that technical, that little switching thing for your verticals. I haven't tried that yet.
Yeah, that's still a work in progress. Although I'm getting there.
When you get all that done up, I want you to send me the plans, and then I'll build it.
Yeah,
I'll let you do all the work.
Larry did a great live stream with Bill Desjardins. You know, Whiskey 1 Zulu Yankee. I don't know if you caught that one, and he was and I learned quite a lot with that. That was a great live stream. Yeah, I'll send you the link, cool. Chuck. But,
okay, yeah.
Because the thing,
you know what? Go ahead.
No. The thing with phase verticals is you have to have the two of them have to be absolutely identical. So you have to tune them just absolutely perfect. Everything's got to be spot on, otherwise it just doesn't work. Strange, you know. So it has to make them dance.
Yeah, I've tried it without the between that. It kind of works. The band was so bad the day I tested it that I couldn't really tell if it was working or not working. You know, because the band was like this the whole time.
Yeah, that's the problem with antennas all the time, is you never know if they're performing, because every minute is different to the next minute. So it's really hard to actually compare things. You know?
How many times have you designed an antenna and found out that the band was just closed as soon as you're like, is this antenna any good?
Exactly.
So you got to test 2 different days.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So I think Ape is gonna bring up some of your pictures. I think that's what he's working on there. But
I am. I'm getting links to Colin's channel in the chat.
I got his link, Ape.
Oh, you got it? Okay, it is in the description also.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't checked the Colin's channel out, you need to check it out if you like to build antennas.
So you guys were talking about your phased verticals, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't know if there's pictures in the pictures of that, because I kind of was in a hurry this morning when I saw the pictures. But you were saying that they need to be perfect. And that is almost impossible to do, right? Because even if you're just soldering on a crimper on the end, you can take off just a little smidgen too much, or fold that wire over, or something like that. It really is a difficult. I just wanted to mention how I've never even considered attempting it because of that.
I think when Cal did it, he actually used a SWR meter to check. He was checking it that way somehow. And then he was doing it differently because he wasn't phasing. He was just doing them like a Yagi basic on the ground.
Parasitic array.
So he tuned one, and then tuned the next one bigger, longer. Yeah.
Well, when you do the parasitic array, they shouldn't be identical, right? I mean, you should have a director, a reflector, and a driven, right? Like
It's about 5% difference either way of the driven element. Roughly.
And then the distance between them makes a huge difference on the gain too.
In front to back, it does.
Yeah.
In the CB space, phased antennas are really popular on trucks. They'll put one on either side of the cab. A lot of those boys put a fake one up though too.
I was going to say
that's forward too.
That's like them cell phone antennas back in the late '80s, early '90s.
All right, let me share some of these pictures that.
Son, there ain't no wire going to your cell phone antenna. How's that working for you?
That's right.
Player, you lying? You just trying to get the ladies.
It was Bluetooth.
So that is. I've not been to this project for probably about a year, so that's actually a 160 meter add-on that I designed for Adjust-A-Wave. So because it needed some serious loading, so you could see the coil there.
Sure can.
Yeah, so I couldn't actually basically work out. It wasn't right. So I actually bought one of these little things here. These little
LC meter.
Yeah, an LCR meter.
We're going to talk all about that. I saw it in the picture.
Yeah, so an LCR meter. So I've got to go back to that project, but that's one that it would be nice to be able to have an antenna for 160, just to say that I've got one. It's probably not going to be it's not going to be something that I'm going to use a lot, but it'd be nice to have the option because, how many of us hams have actually tried 160?
Yeah. With this inductor that you have here, this coil, what was the inductance on that thing?
I think it was roughly 60 microhenries.
Gotcha. So when you make those, so this is the one thing that when I started really messing around with antennas and adding induction and stuff like that, understanding that you can measure the inductance value, your LCR meter, that one I believe you has two different frequencies that you can set it at. They're usually around 10 and 100 megahertz.
Yeah.
But when you're running this thing at, 10 and 100 kilohertz.
Yes.
When you're running this at 1.6 megahertz, the inductance value is different because you have a result of you have reactance based off of frequency. And that's always a difficult concept for folks to grasp. But let's say it's a pretty reputable ground plane that you have there too.
Yeah, I've got, and I've actually got more than that. So for the 80 meter vertical that I'm working on, I'm just looking above me here. So I've got about 450 meters worth of vertical. So what's that times 3.5? So there you go, 1,500
feet.
Yeah. So I can actually fit that in my garden. These are about 20 foot radials, and I've got a big radial plate that I can fit them all on.
Do you leave them down?
No way. No, I've got a 6-year-old, so my wife would kill me. So I can actually get all those radials down in probably half an hour. I've got them in bunches of 6, so I've got it down to a fine art. And when I'm lifting them, I could probably lift them in 10 minutes, or not even that. They're really, really quick to lift.
Yeah, lifting's easy.
Yeah, but when you get down to 160 and you're ground mounting a 160 antenna, you need a lot of radials to make that thing anything near efficient.
How I got on 160, and I can't. I have a 40 meter half square, and I can tune that thing on 160 and. I don't know what the distance for 160, but I was getting into from California, it's kind of, I'm almost in the middle of California. Yeah. I was getting into Washington and stuff with S9 signal reports on 100 watts.
Yeah.
So it worked pretty good, and I don't get the math how it works so well because I'm feeding it with coax.
Exactly. Yeah.
with 8x coax, so it's not like I was really feeding it really well either.
Yeah. So this is I call this the multi, and effectively it's just a feed point and a reel, and a couple of connections on it. So I really designed this as an experimenter's antenna. So say you wanted to run a quarter, just a quarter wave vertical, you could run it with it, or you could run a loop antenna with it, and the box that's hanging down below is actually a 2-to-1 Balun. And how I have this configured is basically an NVIS loop, and it works really well. But when loops are quite close to the ground, you find that the feed point actually lowers on them, because typically you need a 4-to-1 balun for a delta loop. But when the loops, as I say, when they're quite close to the ground, usually that feed point impedance drops, and I found that a 2-to-1 balun. So that's what I've got hooked up to that. So
you're still using a tuner with this, though, right?
No. So it's just the that's 40 meters, a 40-meter loop, and into that 2-to-1, and then straight into the radio. No tuner needed, but it's obviously just monoband.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I was glad I didn't catch it in some of your videos until I rewatched them when I was getting ready to build the Adjusted Wave, and you mentioned that you had an extra lobe to like put one wire by itself. And that's been great because because all I do is I do the Adjusted Wave on 40, and I do 20 with that one, and that's usually all I ever worry about.
Coming out of the top box on the bottom, there looks like there's a wing nut assembly. Is that for your ground or counterpoise?
Yes, that's if you're going to run that as, say, a quarter-wave vertical. Yeah, you can just use that as a ground. Yeah, exactly. Cool. But it's not needed in this case, because the wing nut that's above it with the blue wire that runs perpendicular, it's connected into that. It connects to the same point.
So the box that you have the 2-to-1 in, is that a 4x4x2?
Yeah.
I was at the store the other day looking for 4x4x2s, and they only had 4x4x4s. And I was just like, I don't think I'll be able to get my hands in there all the way at the bottom to get everything, so they were like, the 1-2 cities over's got them. I'm like, man, I don't want to drive all that way.
No, I've got so many of those boxes because they're just great for ham projects. Absolutely brilliant for antennas, baluns, you name it. They're great.
Think that looks like the same brand that I built mine on. They have like a little insert, right, for the screw or something?
Yeah, that's right. There's a screw in each corner. You just give it a half turn.
Yeah.
And it locks in. Yeah.
And I think I built mine on smaller boxes than you, but I was trying to keep it fairly portable. It's actually really light.
Yeah. It's because there's nothing inside. Nothing inside it. This is part of the phase verticals. Could you rotate that maybe left 90 degrees, Ape?
Sure.
That way.
Or go the hard way. Yeah.
That's all right. So,
you wanted it the other way?
No. Yeah, no, the other way. You had it right the first time. It was me that was wrong, Ape.
Wait a minute, like that.
Like that. So
dizzy.
Yeah. So there you go. So these are two. There's two single pole double throw relays inside here. So this is how I switch the phase verticals. So looking at the bottom of that picture, you have that's what runs to your radio. That one with a little blue bit heat shrink on it. The cable or the plug to the right of that's the control cable. So basically, it switches one or both of the relays, depending how you want it. So and then obviously on the other side you have the two SO239s at the top. One goes to each antenna, and the ones at the bottom, that's what you connect your delay line to. So when you send your signal to one antenna, there's a little jumper. It then runs through the jumper, through the delay line, and then goes to the other antenna. So that's how the phase verticals work.
Which throws a delay in it, right?
Yes, that puts in the delay.
And that's one of the hard parts, because you have to figure your velocity factor, and they don't call it length; they call it degrees or something, right?
Yeah. That's a difficult part. Yeah, you need an analyzer for that. You need to
be wicked smart.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you rotate the phase, is it 180 degrees or is it 90 degrees?
No, I'm doing it. Yes. Typically it's 180. So the typical systems you would have it. So the verticals are a quarter wave apart, so that the quarter wave is 90, and then you delay it by another 90, which gives you 180. So that's where it comes in.
Wow, that's cool, man.
Yeah,
but it's not something that you can set up in a weekend. You can set it up in a weekend, but if you really want to get the best out of it, it's something that takes weeks and months. Really get time in the chair, use it, check it. But because the way that your signals come into this, obviously, the higher the signals come into the array, you won't see the same front to back. Some days you'll see like loads of front to back, and then the next day you won't see any, but there's not necessarily anything wrong with the antenna system. It just depends where the signals are actually coming in from. So it's really finicky.
And so the reason you would want to face vertical like this, though, is that you get that front to back ratio, your directionality, like you do on like a beam or a Yagi, but you also have a vertical, so you get the lower takeoff angles that you.
Correct.
So that's why somebody would want something like this. But also, if you don't have a tower, right, something you can get a Yagi up on, this is an option for you to get a good directional antenna.
Especially for the low bands, when you get down to 40 and 80, it's extremely difficult to get wire high enough in the air to get a low enough radiation angle. So that's where it comes in. And the front to back on these things is devastating. You know, it's not uncommon to see 25 or 30 dB front to back. So, you know, if you've got something at the back of you, I mean, I don't know how it is for you guys, but, you know, basically Italy is the first hop. So when Italy's trying to work you guys in the States, we hear them 5.9 plus 30. So if you've got something like this, you can actually block a lot of that out.
Yeah, I want to thank Liberty Cave, for the 458. I don't know. Wee hours coffee. Right?
Wee hours. In the wee hours.
In the wee hours.
The wee hours. I get it now.
The wee hours.
That's clock is not up in Oregon.
Yeah. So there you go. That's the phase verticals. That's 20-meter phase verticals, so I can fit these into my garden just. So that's actually, I'm pointing effectively east-west, which is kind of just lucky how I bought my house. It just works out well for either beam in North America or beam in Europe.
So the slide affects the takeoff angle?
It does.
Probably does, Jim. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's moved now, so that's on the other side of the garden. So there's my wife wanted that moved, and I mean, you know, I said, well, what do you want to put in its place? Because that slide had a metal frame, and I says, well, what are you putting there instead? She says, oh, I want to put a wooden frame swing. I went, yeah, that's good. We'll go with that.
There you go.
There you go.
So what kind of poles are these?
So these are called Life's a Breeze Pro Pole. It's a UK company. Yeah, they're absolutely amazing poles. They are.
I can't find them.
No, I would call them the equivalent. They're almost as good as a spider beam pole, a 12-meter pole in terms of wall thickness. So these are they make those all the way up to, I think they make them from 5 meters up to 10 meters, and they really are a thick pole. But they're like half the price of a spider beam pole. Really are amazing poles, but they're just so difficult to get. As Chuck says, he can't get them, and they only sell like one batch a year through the summer. Yeah, because the company that sells them is one of these companies that sells all the wind flags. You know, these guys that want them for their campers. That's what their market is.
Yeah, because it looks like like one of those portable flagpoles or something. Like
yeah.
That looks really straight, though. I mean, that's a good looking. It's a good looking pole.
So is that did you say that's a 10-meter pole?
No, that's a 6.
6, okay.
Yeah, that's a 6. So I actually had 2 of these up. It was the weekend of CW Worldwide CQ Worldwide CW, and we had a major storm. I'm saying it was a major. It was probably 70-mile-an-hour winds, and I just left these 2 up, guide at the bottom alone, and they didn't budge at all. That's how good they are. They really are good poles.
So you need 5 meters of wire straight up, and these need to be 5 meters apart, right, in the direction that you want to go.
Yes.
It's a great looking setup.
Yeah.
Are these the same poles you use with that antenna that starts with M and ends with N? I don't want to give T.O. his last space on his business card.
Nice. It's like, I know what you're trying to do there. I know it.
We got a picture
Moxon.
one.
Are they the same ones you use for your Moxon?
No, they're far too
heavy. There it is.
Yeah, they're far too heavy for the Moxon.
Bingo!
Sorry, guys. T.O. wins.
Yeah.
As always.
We actually got some new words the other day. So
yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, that's actually my holiday antenna. So that's like a miniature version of a Justy Wave, and I actually have that in that backpack, Chuck, the one that you recommended. That's what's actually sitting.
I saw that the other day, yeah.
Yeah, so these are actually slightly smaller reels than what's on the regular Justy Wave. So this basically gives me coverage from 40 meters all the way down.
Are these the ones that you sent me?
No, they're slightly smaller. They're the same
They're
brand.
Smaller than those too.
But okay. Those are 5.6. For the ones you've got are 7.8. These are 5.6.
And then you have the bigger ones too, right? Because it was a smaller. Oh, that was your big ones. Okay.
Yeah, you've got the big ones. They only do 2 sizes. Yeah,
they're not really huge. I mean, they're
no.
40 pounds, but they're out of stock. What is 40 pounds in American? That's like $80.
$60 maybe. Yeah.
That's way cheaper than
I can only imagine what Colin's garage looks like with all these boxes and reels and antennas and all this stuff.
He's sitting in it right now. You don't need to imagine.
Yeah. Can't you see it?
Well, I mean, I would need a wide angle. I bet you there's a stack of antennas because he's like, oh, that's my holiday antenna. That's my Saturday antenna. This is my CW contestant antenna.
Do you have old USPS boxes behind you too? I mean, to store all that stuff?
Hey now.
No,
they have the Great Britain Postal Service over there.
I found you can order those for free from the post office. You don't even have to go to get them. They will ship them.
How do you think I get them?
I didn't. I thought you had some kind of inside deal with the post office.
I will warn you though, if you wrap like brown paper around your packages now, they take it off and check to see if you're using their boxes, supposedly, and then they will charge you. And then they will charge you, even though you didn't send it. So
look at that sexy
just
antenna.
Be aware. Yeah, that's the antenna right there.
Yeah, that's the. If you want to get some, if you want to make a serious impact on 20 meters, that's your antenna. That's your best bang for the buck. Is the Moxon, definitely, hands 10 down.
10 watts into France. 10 watts into France from California.
Yeah,
it works.
So one of the things I wanted to point out real quick on this one is that the other day Chuck was explaining to me, like, so sometimes you get people who hang things up on antennas, right? Like, so you have some poles up on the top of the mast here. Like sometimes you'll see somebody has dipoles or something like that, and you get some serious droop going the other direction on your dipoles. This has an anchor point about 2 feet up above the feed point of the actual antenna, right? And you can see these little lines right here. Well, maybe you can't.
Yeah.
Anchored to each end, and that stops this from gravity, if you believe in things like gravity, having a negative effect on your antenna, right?
Yeah.
It just droops in the opposite direction.
Yeah, but it actually will work the other way. I like it like this. I like it up because it gets its. You get an extra 2 feet of height, right?
Exactly. I've done it both ways. But yeah, definitely.
What is this other line right here?
Counterpoise, man.
That's my other antenna. That's in my garden. That's my off-center fed dipole. That's what that is.
It's like when Chuck
end-fed half wave.
That might help with some directionality there.
Yeah,
it's like when I take pictures of a new antenna, you see like 6 other antennas in the picture. So it's hard.
What is this center plate made out of?
It's made out of
aluminium.
Yes, aluminium composite plate. So
yeah, it's different.
I think I have a picture there somewhere there, right? But it's basically a laminate. So it's a very thin sheet of aluminium sandwiched in between some plastic. I think they use it for making signs. I think that's its primary use.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good looking antenna, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
And he put way more into his than I did.
It's really, really inexpensive to buy that plate, really, and you can buy it pre-cut. And literally, those plates cost me like £3 each, so that's like $5. So it's like $10, and you've got the pair of those plates. So
you're putting 2 on it now, though, right? Because of the
I went to 2. I instead of having a 1/4 plate, 6mm plate, I actually went to 2 3mm plates. It just actually helped. It stopped it flexing because when you've got the tension of the poles.
You know, what I used on mine was just I used to get old signs that were like somebody knock a sign down in the city, and the corporation guys would just just take whatever you want, and I just used that. It's a little flexy. The nice thing about the sign material, you can't bend it because it'll break. Right. But it flexes and goes back. I've got a little flex in mine too, and I haven't really worried about it. But I'm thinking about making it a little bit heavier because the whole thing's pretty light to start with.
You can shoot it with no problem because like around here they shoot the street signs all the time.
Oh yeah, some things go through it.
Yeah.
So how big are these poles over here?
They are each of them. They're 4 meters each, so they're about 16 foot each.
Yes, and then what is the length of this one wire?
It's 7 and a bit meters. What's that? 21 feet?
About 20 feet, 21 feet, something like that.
Yeah.
It's 13 feet across, roughly.
Yeah.
Which way? This way or this way?
That way.
13, but 13 is less.
No, it's bigger than that, Chuck.
Is it?
Definitely bigger, yeah. Because those poles are, I mean, those poles diagonally are 8 meters.
Or is it 17? Maybe it's 17 feet. It's way smaller than a Yagi.
Yeah.
Size.
Yeah.
But that's still no joke. I mean, that's a pretty good size antenna right there.
It's still a big antenna. It's a struggle for me to get it in my garden. Amongst all the furniture, it still is a struggle.
People, when you set it up portable, people come over and like, what are you doing?
Can you I would imagine Mars on that? That's
putting this up. You're going to get a few cussing words it takes to put that up. I would imagine.
15 minutes for me.
Now, Colin, do you have where you live? Do you have any restrictions on stuff like that in your backyard, your garden?
We all have restrictions. So basically, everyone lives by the rules of the local planning authority. So typically, if anything is permanent, and it's over 3 meters tall, then it needs planning permission effectively, and you need to basically apply for permission from the local council. But the caveat to that is if you have a structure up and it's been up for over 4 years and nobody complains about it, well then that's it, you've got it for good. And if somebody complains about it, they can't do anything about it because it's already been up for 4 years. But yeah, it is a little bit like the HOAs. And the fact that people will complain as soon as something goes up in a neighbour's garden, but it's not the HOA that decides whether you get to keep it or not. It's the local council. So they'll basically look at, does it destroy the look of the area, that type of thing. Yeah.
The local council is that like your city government? Or
yeah. Okay. It's all split into different areas of the country. So there's maybe 50 or 60,000 people in each council area, something like that, across Scotland.
Well, that's more like a county almost.
Yeah, it's a county. It's a county, exactly.
If 45's got a question, he says, other than making sure your mast antennas don't fall over onto a power line, how far do you need to keep the mast away from power lines to avoid interference? Is anybody brave enough to field that question?
As far away as you can, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, the farther the better. I'm pretty lucky. Where I live, the power lines are in front of my house, and most of them are across the street from me. And then my tower and everything is like probably 80 feet from the street. I take that back. Probably 100 feet, over 100 feet from the street.
Well, so the thing is, what's crazy about it is you can be right up on a power line and not have a problem, or you could be far as away from a power line and have a problem.
Yeah.
I think it's more the points where the wires come together.
When the power lines, so where they're terminated and stuff.
Yeah, it's usually the insulators and stuff. Yeah,
it's usually the health of the power line, right?
I am surrounded on 3 sides by power lines here, and I've never noticed. I don't have a high noise floor. It's like S1 or S2.
I was gonna say, what is it, S11, something like that?
It's in the turlet. It's in the basement. So the main line is in front of my house, about 40 or 50, 60 feet in front of the house. And then I have a 14 kV feeder line about 30 feet on the side of the house that feeds the house behind us. And then it feeds off of that and comes across my backyard. I'm surrounded by power lines, but I haven't really noticed the problem. That being said, it's kind of a pain in the butt.
I have the power.
Yeah. If they ever fall, I'll probably die.
Yeah, they're no joke. You definitely don't want to mess with power lines.
No.
They're starting to throw ours underground in some places, but I don't think they'll ever.
I live out in the county. I doubt that's ever going to happen out here.
Yeah, right. It's a mix here. Mines are underground. All the streets around here, it's all underground. But so where I used to live, as you say, if you're in the county, it's overhead.
It's all great until they have a problem with it.
We just got non-dirt roads 10 years ago. So
now we're talking.
Yeah, so here's one for Ape. Yeah, here's your favorite Ape. So,
that is a beautiful toroid.
That looks like stacked. It's a stacked toroid, right?
Yeah, it's a stacked 240-43s. There's 2 of them in there. That was actually the very first one I wound. So I was quite pleased with that. So the key difference with this one is it's got a little switch in there right in at the back. Mm-hmm. So basically that red wire is a bypass. So
right here's your switch, this blue.
Yeah. I've actually changed it out for a bit more heavy power handling switch, but essentially how I had this antenna configured was I had a half wave end-fed vertical on 20 meters, and with a flick of the switch it then becomes a quarter wave on 40. A lot of people will say, well, why didn't you just then make an end-fed half wave for 40 and then it's already resonant on 20? I says, well, then you need more space for that, where you don't need more space for this because it's all just done on a single vertical support. Because obviously, if you've got 60, you would need for 40 meters, you need like 66 meters of wire, unless you had it shortened. So you need to go up a pole and then run it across to somewhere. Because my thing is, I don't like to have just me, because my garden's so small. I can't put wires up and then run them across the various parts of the garden. So it's easier if I just run antennas with one single antenna support. It makes it easier for me, and it's easier when you're out portable as well, because you're not relying on trees or anything.
Right.
So what you're doing here, when you flip that switch, what you're bypassing your toroid and your inductance winding there. We're going over this red wire.
Yeah.
Yeah. You still have, coming off your shield, you still have connectivity into the.
I do, but it doesn't seem to bother for some reason. It doesn't seem to bother.
Well, I'm thinking it would probably just take the path of least resistance right here.
Exactly.
And go over, but that certainly is interesting.
That's like the expander, the fan dipole itself. It's going to self-regulate. Yeah, it's going to favor that.
Yeah, I kind of thought, I've got this idea to do this, but when I actually looked up this idea, I seen that Steve Ellington had already done this years before, and that's what he does with 160. So he has his end fed. He has his end fed for 40, and then he flips it in, and that gives him a quarter wave on 160. So
you want to talk about king of antennas? Steve Ellington is the king of 49 to 1s.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, he does a good job. He has a video where he takes apart a bunch of different antennas. So he takes apart like a Palomar Engineering antenna, my end fed half wave, and some, I don't remember, like 3 or 4 of them. And man, that Palomar Engineering antenna looked bad inside. I got to tell you, I was like, wow. Given the price that they charge for those.
Bad like terrible, not bad.
Yeah, if I was going to buy a 49 to 1 or an antenna like that, my antennas is the way to go. They're expensive, but they do it right.
There's 2 kilowatt version. The big one looks awesome.
Yeah. And this is pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah.
Did you use anything? Did you crazy glue these toroids together? Or?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, they're super glued together.
I got you. Better than tape. Don't put them. Don't tape them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea what this is.
So this is actually the side view of the Moxon plate. I just added that in there so you can maybe. So this just shows side on version. So that's center plate of the Moxon. That's what that is. So you can see the 2 sandwich plates, and then you can see the 2 clamps on either side. Simply, that's all it is. That's all it is.
Side view. Yeah, I was like having a hard time there for a second.
Yeah,
nice.
And there it is. And there it is, the right way up. So that's the Moxon sitting on the aluminum pole. They call that like a travel version pole, but that's a heavy pole. Let me tell you. Yeah.
It looks big.
Yeah.
So this is the short, center. You just run the center pin out, right? So that's just your center. Yeah. Coax. Where's the shield terminate?
It goes to either side. So the shield, it goes to either side of that ape. So obviously that's 50 ohm coax that runs out to the. Well, obviously, one side goes to the shield and one side goes to the center core.
Okay, so it's just a dipole, basically.
Yeah, it's just a dipole. Yeah.
You could zoom in on that a little bit too, right?
Yeah, and the feed point's up at the top right. Yeah, the top right. That's actually just where I've joined the coax. I was just I didn't have a barrel connector, so I ended up joining the coax, but I've since rectified that. But if you go up to the top right hand corner, drag it up, you'll see the little plate. Yeah, see the plate there. So that's where the coax joins it. Yeah, that's what it is there.
Okay, and so this isn't a loop. On the other side, that this is split then, right?
Yeah, it's split. It's split in the middle. On the short sides, there's a little non-conductive.
I should know more about Moxon's Chuck, but I don't.
Yeah.
And then
I try not to talk about it because
that's how you raise the tower.
Yeah, that's a quarter inch ratchet. Yep. Okay. So that's just what we use obviously to tighten up those clamps. Yep.
Now
is that sandwich style?
Is that mast isolated from the ground?
Yes.
Okay.
There's this thing right here, right?
Yes.
It.
I mean, that's all insulated. So it's all insulated from each other. Like not that it matters anyway. But there's I've got a rubber bung at the bottom of that aluminium pole, basically, just to protect the bottom of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you don't need to though. I mean,
no.
That's a good design with that. The sandwich, like you were talking about,
those are just hard to find here. I mean, I can order them. I mean, DX Engineering sells them. I bought them before. I've actually made those. I've printed those before, but they're
a lot of guys print them. Yeah, for some reason those are actually like a rubber clamp, and I like the rubber because it's just a little bit gentler on the fiberglass poles. But they seem to be nigh on impossible to get in the States for some reason. I think these actually come from Germany. These clamps.
Yeah, and there's places that sell them. I just haven't found them physically, to go out and buy them. Because the problem is you gotta be really good about measuring and finding out which one actually fits.
Exactly, you need to get your vernier and measure exactly. But if you're going to get them anywhere, it's going to be like hydraulic suppliers because it's a hydraulics part.
Exactly, and I can't. I mean, I can find them, but finding them at a reasonable price, especially these days, is the tough part.
Plasma's got a question. He says, does the shape make a difference for a receive-only antenna?
I believe it does. Yeah, it can do. It can do if you've got a loop on the ground anyway.
I think the best loop you can make, the better. I've always heard round is the best for a lot of things. Yeah. But it's not always the easiest to put up, like for delta
loops.
Like
those AM loop antennas, they're like this big, but they have like 200 feet of wire wrapped around them and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say yes to that.
An oval shape.
Yeah. So what master are you using for these then?
For that aluminum pole there, that is
not the mat. Excuse me, the spreaders. Part.
The spreaders, those are what we call wind jammer, 5 meter poles, but I'm only using 4 meters of them. Yeah. Yeah,
that's the ones I was using. The ones I use are pretty cheap off of eBay, and
that's what these are.
And they're 7.2 meters, but I use the first 4, I guess.
Don's his old tricks again, starting drama with the carbon fiber.
Starting drama, I know. Whatever.
Yeah, carbon fiber.
But no, the lighter the better because there's not any strain on them, and you give them that little tension up with the wire anyway, so it's not really that they don't need to be particularly strong.
Yeah. One of these days, I'm still working on putting extra bands in mine, but I might actually succumb to the hex beam instead. It's a little bit easier to do.
Yeah.
It just takes more poles.
Excellent. It takes more poles. Yeah. Yeah.
I can really set mine up in 15 minutes.
It was a Coke. Popped a Coke. It wasn't a beer. Everybody relax.
I knew the sound of that was a soda. That's right.
Yeah.
And we have the Swede joined us this morning.
He slipped in here a minute ago.
Oh, the Swede. You don't want to say that.
No, why not?
He was the Swede last week, was he not?
Yeah, well, he actually sent a couple antennas off to us. We were going to give one away on a Coffee and Ham radio stream. So,
nice.
LB0FI dipole.
It looks really tidy. It looks very tidy. Yeah,
it's very really nice.
Good. Yeah,
even the insulators, nice.
Yep.
And then he's got his call sign down here. I'm showing something. Hi, there you go. He's got his call sign down there. Look at that. Sweet.
Nice.
Works great.
Oops.
Less filling.
So he's saying it's like calling Colin English. So there's a very difficult question. If somebody could explain the difference between,
oh Lord,
well, you have the United Kingdom, right? Then you have Great Britain, and then you have England. So the United Kingdom, that's I'm guessing here, right? Because I'm American, but I'm thinking it's Ireland, Scotland, and England, right?
It's Northern Ireland, Wales, Scotland, and England.
Not Southern Ireland.
Southern Ireland.
Don't say that. Don't say that. That's a contentious subject. Yeah, definitely.
And then Great Britain was that Scotland, Wales, and England?
That would be Scotland, England, and Wales. But I still consider it as Northern Ireland as well. Great Britain. I still consider them the same. They're both the same thing, yeah.
So you say Great Britain and United Kingdom are the same thing?
I would say so. Yeah, to me they are anyway, yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then England's just plain old England.
England's England, yeah.
It's so complicated.
Very.
We're just America and those weirdo Canada people in the north.
I went to a English bar. I was in England a couple of times for work, and I went to the bar, and the guy's like, "What do you have, mate?" I was like, I want a beer. And he's like, you want a black beer, brown beer, tan beer? I'm like, no, I want a yellow beer. I want it yellow and I want it cold.
Pilsner.
So I ended up drinking apple cider.
But so good, though.
The guy was awesome. He got me a bowl
rolled
of
his
ice.
eyes.
Yeah, he had me a bowl of ice on the bar, so I could just put my drink in there and make sure it was proper cold. Those guys are great. So.
Yeah,
They knew you were a
beer.
Yankee. He said, "Look at the bloody Yank with the cold beer."
I had fun. Had a great time over there.
Yeah. No, there's no country like it for bars, and the United Kingdom is like really, really unique when it comes to pubs. Definitely.
Well, the thing is that there so many people go to the pubs that they stand all around outside. They can't even all fit in there. So like there'll be like 30 or 40 people standing outside drinking beers outside.
But especially since it'd be the same with you guys, but especially with the smoking ban came in, when they stopped smoking inside, everyone just stands outside, you know.
Oh right, yeah, that's probably
smoking and having their drink, you know.
Yeah, that's probably right. All right,
reminds us of our childhood growing up in Baltimore, right? Bar on every corner and a church on the ones that aren't.
Yeah.
All right,
Illinois was a lot like that too.
I got to rotate this one.
Yeah. So here you go. So this is actually the 80-meter vertical, and I just wanted to show how compact this was. So normally the arms that I use on a Just-A-Wave, I actually halved them. I cut them in two, and I put another ferrule in them, and I put like you get on tent poles where you've got the springy, what do you call it, shock cord in the middle. So I put some of that in between them so they don't come apart. Yeah, the doiny stuff.
You added that, right?
Yeah. So I added that, and then so it just basically takes up less room. And I actually have these poles in my backpack. So going from a foot to 2 foot, it's a big difference. So it just takes up a lot more space.
I saw you did that the other day, and that was a good idea. I'm going to do the same because I try to get the poles for mine are laying in the back of my truck right now, and everything else is in a bag someplace else. So it's
me too.
One of these days I'll forget.
Yeah. So they fit those poles when they're like that. They fit in those side pockets of that Endurax bag quite easily, Chuck.
Mm-hmm.
So and just so everybody knows, these are tent poles that you're messing with there. Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The
so
amount
how does this
ingenuity.
Deploy?
Like this is ingenuity and engineering. I mean, it's really impressive.
Well, why exactly? Because why make something if it already exists and you can't repurpose it? You know,
right?
It doesn't. It's not always the case, but that I'm just, I think, well, somebody's already done it. We could use it for something else, and it'll be just as good.
Right.
So how does this deploy, Colin? I'm trying to figure out how all this goes together.
Yep. So obviously those poles, they snap into each other, so they obviously double in length, and then they plug into the little clamping plate there that you can see on the bottom left. They basically clamp into that.
Pieces. Okay.
Yeah, the green pieces. So the black piece in the middle, that goes onto your pole, onto your mast, and then obviously your two arms go into either side, and that basically allows you to linear load your antenna. So basically it goes up through the little pulleys and then back down again.
Okay.
So that's what that is.
Is that a plastic box that in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's those same boxes that we were chatting about earlier.
Yeah,
okay.
we did them. I did mine differently. Same. It ends up being the same, but mine was a little bit more compact as far as I just drilled a hole through my box for the lower thing. I didn't clamp it.
Yep.
Being cheap, I was being cheap really, but it did make it just a little bit more compact.
Yeah.
But and I don't use the second set of. He uses the ground for his on a most. Don't you use it most of the time with the reel?
Yeah, I do.
Ground.
I do.
I just throw them out on the ground. Just less the setup for me, but
yeah, both works. Yeah, definitely. And that's the same antenna, and that's all 450 meters of wire lying there. So that's a lot of wire on the ground.
And I don't put out that much wire either.
Yeah. No.
Mine's usually for a couple hours, so.
That is a lot of wire, I tell you that.
It is.
Yeah.
And it looks like you use pretty good sized wire too, huh?
Yeah, I think that is about 1 millimeter square wire, so it's decent sized wire.
Yeah.
So when we take a look at this,
probably.
This is the clamp that you were talking about here, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So So on the right hand side, it runs from the right hand side of the box. You can see the center box. You can see you can see the wire coming off it. Obviously, it runs up the pole, back down the other side, and I've just got that temporary tension. Yeah.
When you hang that roll of tape on there, the extra 4 dB right there.
I was just, and the reason I did that was because I was tuning the antenna. So I wanted to get the antenna to resonance, so i.e. zero reactance, a lot of people when they tune their antennas, they just tune for lowest SWR,
right.
which is not always bad. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. Yeah. So basically, I was tuning it for zero reactance, and what I discovered is
which is where it's the most resonant.
Yeah. And that's actually where your vertical will actually perform best, and you'll actually be most efficient, even though it's not got necessarily the lowest SWR. And in those cases, you should actually ideally match it at the base point, because like a quarter wave vertical has got a feed point impedance of roughly about 36 ohms at the feed point as standard. So if you see if you put up your quarter wave vertical and you just throw a few radials and you see a 50 ohm match, what that's telling you is that you've actually got a lot of ground losses there, because the feed point impedance should be lower than that.
Well, so when you do that though, when you throw these ground things out here, these are adding capacitance at that point, right?
Yes.
And
well,
so
I don't know if that. Yeah, they pull it down. They pull it down, Ape. You're correct. Yeah, and you should, because they make it more efficient.
Well, yeah. So I did a video on ground radials and how each one of those helps with the load compression, better takeoff angle, and because a lot of times you'll see people set up a vertical like this, and like a vendor will sell a vertical, and they'll be like, $200 for the vertical, and they're like, it just needs one ground radial.
Right.
I'm like, no, it doesn't. Like they say that like 32 to 64 is the magic number. Then you start to get economies of diminishing scale, where it's like you can.
See, I thought it was more of a length thing, just the total length of the radial.
It's the total length is the most critical. You're correct, Jim.
Right.
But you're right there, Ape. I mean, I did a video way back in the early days of the channel where I basically set up an 80-meter vertical, and I put out 4 ground radials, and I kept on adding 4 and checking where the SWR dip was, and you would be amazed that every time you added an extra bunch of radials, the frequency changed, and it changed until it got to a point. It got down to about 12 quarter lengths in where the frequency actually stopped moving. And that was basically ground losses I had.
Well, see, the thing is also like when you have your vertical that goes up this wire right here.
Yeah.
When it radiates, it's shooting signal down into the ground too. And so without a good ground plane, that gets absorbed into the ground and wasted. So when you put all this copper down there, your signal's going to come out, hit this, and then reflect back up at your same takeoff angle.
So it's a combination of the number of radials and the length. One 300-meter radial is not better than.
No.
Well, and the thing is like when this is ground mounted, the length of these radials is less important than when it's elevated, because when it's elevated, your radials are elevated, and they actually become part of your. They radiate themselves.
Right. Yeah.
So they need to be tuned.
Yeah.
Right.
But
you
don't
need less.
follow,
But you need less.
But you need way less, and then. Roland HB9 VQQ, he did a comparison with Adjusted Wave with the single elevated radial, and it performed better most of the time than 170 meters of wire on the ground. So even a single tuned radial, if you can get it up about 4 foot or preferably more, it will perform as good as ground mounted radials. So
really,
That's really,
Yeah.
So raising that up.
A little bit of work.
And tune, but man, that'd be great. Then I don't have to worry about radials in the yard and getting mowed on.
That's the difference between you and I, Jim.
Well, you don't mow your grass?
No, I go out portable.
But that's the way that, and I think that's why. I mean, every antenna is a compromise. But this new buddy, is it the buddy stick everyone was buying with the raised?
It is.
Radio?
It is. Yep.
And I know people don't like winding that in and out, but that's giving them so much more efficiency rather than just taking 4 radials and throwing them on the ground. That single raised radial is much better. Take it, really is.
And I think our buddy Brojet was able to set his buddy stick, whatever it is, up in 8 minutes. I think, I was giving him grief. I was like, "You can't set that up fast," and he took the challenge.
He moves pretty fast for a large gentleman. I mean,
Well, he was a bit law enforcement. He's got to move fast.
It's large. Somebody could get that last donut, and there would be a sad Brojet.
Yeah, but no, he did a really good job of setting it up.
Yeah. So there's another picture that goes along with this ape. It's basically the insides of that box. I don't know if you could find that, and I'll tell you the story regarding that. You see it's got a little coil and a capacitor in it.
Yeah, I do see that. So I was saying that you get a little reactance with that wound up cable like that.
No, I don't
but you
think
said you were tuning. You were tuning for resonance, not SWR.
Yeah. So what I actually found was with the setup though that I didn't actually get a good SWR. I actually found that I needed to put some extra matching in it, and that's what I've actually done. That's why I bought the LCR meter, because I needed a little bit of capacitance and a little bit of inductance just to make it work. So I need to actually get out and test that, but once we get that picture up, you'll be able to see that little coil on that capacitor in there, and see what I've actually done.
Liberty Kate was saying something around when I was talking about diminishing returns and the second element of a dipole. So it's what I'm talking about with the diminishing returns and your ground plane or your radials on the ground is that the amount of reflection that you get from both signals that come in like this and bounce back into your vertical, or from when you transmit things coming out of your vertical, hitting this and bouncing up, the more radials you add, you start to get to a point where there's less and less benefit.
Right.
Sorry if I misspoke there.
No, you're right. You're right. Yep.
Alrighty. So here is these peak meters are nice. I was looking at them and I cheaped out and bought something else.
Yeah, well, I was just almost buying that cheaper one, and I went, no, I'm going to buy this, but I'm really pleased. It's amazing bit of kit. It really is amazing.
It's more than twice the price.
Yeah, it was. I got it a good deal. I think I paid less than £80 for it. I think I paid $76, so maybe just over $100 I paid for it basically, which I didn't think was bad.
I paid.
Now last a lifetime.
I got a cheap one too. Or maybe $40. I don't know. I got the cheap one.
Yeah, I don't know where mine is, but mine was. Well, they've got a real cheap one that's just an LED display and a circuit board, and that's like $20. And then I basically bought that inside of a case. It was like $45. And then I was looking at this. This was around $85.90.
Yeah. Yeah. So that
120 US.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. So that actually allowed me to. I think that was actually a one. What's that now? 1 microhenry coil. That's what it needs for that, and it needed about one nanofarad of capacitance. I think that's right. I've got those the right way about those units of measurement. So that's what I've got in there. I've got a couple of capacitors in parallel there to get the right capacitance. You can see it there. Yeah. 1.167 nanofarad. Yeah.
We also have a little bit of inductance here too.
Yeah.
So when I look at this, what I'm guessing, and I'm just a nobody, this is probably a trans match that you're putting at your antenna feed point, right?
Correct. Because what I actually found was that the resistance at the feed point without this was about 18 ohms. So what I did was I used a program called SimNEC. That's a great little program. And basically you put in your parameters and you basically put in your...
Thanks, TC.
Yeah. So basically you put in your antenna parameters, what it currently is, you put in your frequency, and basically it tells you how much capacitance and how much inductance you need to bring it back to 50 ohms. So it's
you just run to your parts, you run to the parts box and start grabbing these things and figure it out.
What's that program, Colin?
SimNEC, Sugar India Mike November Echo Charlie. Okay, SimNEC. It just runs standalone. It's a great little bit of software and software. Yeah.
But see, like this is where you want these things for like your quarter wave vertical antennas that you have. Like I don't think you would put this on like maybe I'm wrong. I wouldn't put this like at a DX Commander or something like that. No. But do you use these to make sure that you get the appropriate power transfer, right? At the antenna feed point. It's a very clever thing. Yeah.
So I'm hoping it works. I've not tested it yet, but I've not tested it yet. But I'm pretty confident that it's going to work. I need to once I get it back up. But yeah,
they have a purple one too, Ape.
Yeah, they do. They've got one for components, checking transistors and stuff. Yep.
Well, see, the thing is, like when you start getting into the guts of antenna making and antenna design and antenna theory, those things. Tio's got one right there. These meters are essential, right? Like, some people are like, you can do it with a nano VNA, and I'm a huge fan of that. But
me too.
Gotcha, Joe.
Well, while I was putting it in not my cart, but my list, I clicked the wrong button. That's why I left.
But yeah.
So this is the. Go ahead.
So this deliberately, I deliberately made this rough, ready, and cheap to show people, and I've not made a video on this yet, but the video is coming. So this is just chopping board. I guess you guys you guys not make antennas out of chopping board you buy in the store?
You mean like for like cutting meat and stuff
board,
on?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. No, we do.
Yeah, I got a stack of them over here from the dollar store.
Well, exactly. So I think these were about £1 each. So I bought 2 of those, and I'm going to make a rotary dipole from that. So I'm going to make a 20-meter rotary dipole, and it should be a good performing antenna, because I think a lot of the trap that people fall down to as well with vertical antenna, especially ground-mounted verticals, is they put them on the ground and they're surrounded by houses and trees and metal, and they think they're going to perform how they're modelled, and it probably isn't the case. So, that's why sometimes a dipole will actually outperform a vertical, just because you've got it high up in the air and it's just away from different structures. So the idea of this is actually to get a proper rotary dipole, straight arms coming out of it, and it'll actually give you a little bit of directivity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that the dipole is the best antenna. There's a reason it's the reference antenna, right? And in that ground plane video, like I showed all the different, how you add all the ground radials and how it improves, and then I put an overlaid dipole on top of it, and I'm like, still doesn't good as a dipole though.
Yeah.
The challenge with dipoles, right, though, is like if you have a let's say 40-meter dipole, in order to work the best, it's got to be 20 meters up in the air, which is no joke, right? Get it mounted that high. Then the other one is that you look at the issue, like I'm willing to make compromise to have multi-band. But right now, when we have the solar cycle taken off like it has been, like a 10-meter dipole is probably a fantastic thing to mess around with.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't need to be high off the ground, doesn't take a lot of space, and right now 10 meters is hot.
And it'll work. A 10-meter dipole, you will work the world on a 10-meter dipole when it opens, when the cycle gets going. Definitely.
It can end up being like 20 meters in steroids, right?
Yeah. Oh,
this
yeah.
is cool.
And 20 is good.
And 20 will open up. 20 will open up 24 hours a day eventually. You'll be I've seen that. I've seen that in the last cycle. Not often, but quite often 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. 20 meters is still booming to the States.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been going here past the gray line. I've seen a lot of FD8 action coming up.
Yeah,
well,
you're right, Jim. Just recently, and this is the latest project. So another one apes, and here it's here. Tiny little end fed, and this is actually. So I just stole this. So this is and I think it was you that told me what wire to use on this ape. You told me on Twitter. This is that
16 gauge.
Yeah, this is that 16 gauge. Yeah.
Look at them twists. Man,
it looks good.
That is a very good looking toroid, son.
I learned that from you, T.O., because you did your video the other week, and I thought instead I'll just go and watch T.O.'s video and he'll show me how to wind it.
Yep, put it in a drill.
That's what I do, the drill.
I use the happy pencil.
Yeah, use the pencil, and I use wires, which did not work out too well.
Yeah, but that thing was a tight fit to get in there. That was a real tight fit to get when the SO239 went in it, but it just fitted and no more, which was good. So yeah,
that's a small box. What's funny is that I was mistaken. I was talking to T.O. and he's like, "What size magnet wire are we using for this?" And I told him 14 gauge,
Wow.
which is just fat enough to make it a much more difficult job. And he's complaining.
I heated it up.
Right. Yeah. He's complaining the whole time. I'm like, man, T.O. is being a big baby. It's not that bad.
I'll send you the magnet wire. I still have about 100 feet of it left.
Yeah.
A 14 gauge?
14, yeah.
Well, you put it in a 240. It's not that bad.
You need a big toroid.
Yeah.
Oh, I just put it in a pot of boiling water for an hour and a half, and then I can work with it with my gloves on.
Yeah. When it was done, I was like, oops. I was like, sorry, man. I think I might have told you the wrong thing.
That's all right.
Yeah. But it's a fantastic antenna for what you do. It's just that you can't really end-fed. It's a great antenna. Everyone should make one. Everyone should make an end-fed half-wave. Just do it. It really has revolutionized things. Definitely.
Well, they're so easy, lightweight that you can deploy them. They're multi-banded. There's so many benefits to them.
That, very little downside. Yep. Definitely.
Well, if you have limited space, it's. I won't say it's wife approved, but it's easily removed out of the wife's view if you need to. Too.
Correct.
You can't even tell that I've got one out back.
Oh my God, I have a perfect idea for you. You need to build like one of those shade covers in the backyard, and then you can have all that grass underneath and have all the antennas on top, and your wife will be happy, and you'll be happy, and it won't die.
And even more importantly, the grass will die, and you won't have to cut it.
Well, they have those ones where you just put the boards up, not the
got the wooden swing set. Look at that trampoline. I want to go over and play at Colin's house.
So you could put up a tall pole in the corner and run the wire down to the top of that wooden swing set. That would.
There you go. There you go.
But if your kid can hang itself on the top of the swing set, then he deserves it.
So that's what I've got to live with. So this is a rotary dipole. Yeah, that's it up there.
Zoom, enhance.
So what is this? What is this material?
Yeah, those are the same pole in the Moxon. Those are those windjammer poles.
Moxon.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are those? 4 meters?
5 meters. These are
5 meters. Okay.
Yeah.
Chuck, you got to find out where to buy those things, and then after we get them, we can let everybody else know.
Yeah. I just looked on their website. They're sold out of everything.
But look at how straight that is. It's amazing.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Oh, that's the bigger one. Yeah, those things are just well. If it's the same
you have the
thickness
wire inside these poles.
No, I've just got the wire running along the outside of it. I could put it I could put it up the middle, and I may do that, Ape. But I was just tuning it at that point, so I was basically putting it up, then putting it down, up and down, just to cut a little bit off.
Are you going to run it through the middle? Is that the plan eventually? Or
eventually I'll run it through the middle, Jim. Yeah. Yeah, eventually I'll do that.
You could also just be lazy and tape it on the outside too.
Man, it looks fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Is this the center part we just looked at?
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
what
I mean
from there.
Yeah, that's what I mean from the chopping board. But it will be a great antenna. See a rotary dipole, you get up high, and I ran a commercial version of this way back in when I was first licensed, like in 2011, 2012, and man, that thing did have front to side rejection. You really did notice that. All you needed to turn it was I had it on a rotator, and I could just turn it 90 degrees, and you definitely did see about 10, 15 dB. So. I
did a 10 meter out of actually I'm going to do a video on it one of these days, but just out of conduit.
Yeah.
The lightweight, the lighter weight conduit, the bendable stuff.
Yep.
And because 10, like you said, 10 meters it's not a very big.
No. When you be making a Moxon for 20 meters or 10 meters is a cinch. You know what I mean? Is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know who's seen one of these before. So this is just a bit of good shack housekeeping. So
it looks like you have a 1-to-1. Looks like you have a Balun choke on here. And to me, if I had to guess, I would say this is probably a 4-to-1 or a 5-to-1. This looks suspiciously like some of those chameleon antenna innards, if I had to guess. So
this is a GM3 SEK mains filter. So this is what you do for bringing power into your shack. So if you have mains noise, this is something that you could actually put in there to basically isolate all that from your incoming mains. So that's what that is. So it's a published design. He's got it on his website, and it's quite popular for people to make. He puts the bill of material on his website, so basically you just need to buy the stuff and build it. So,
that's nice.
What is this thing?
So that's just a common wood choke, effectively, a commercial built common wood choke.
So you got two other common wood chokes. I thought this was very straightforward.
They're for filtering out different frequencies.
Gotcha.
It's like three different. It's like filtering out the low bands, the mid bands, and the high bands. That's what it's for.
So I wonder if this is something that we could use in the U.S. though, given that our voltage is the same. I guess the frequencies are still 60 hertz, right?
Yeah,
they're 50 hertz.
Yeah, they're 50, but this was actually purchased from Mouser in the States, so I don't see why not. It was actually cheaper for. Yeah.
So there's a Euro plug. Yeah. There's a Euro plug right here.
It's a Euro plug, but it doesn't matter. You could use it in the States. But as I said, I bought most of that stuff from Mouser because it was cheaper to ship it from Texas than what it was to buy it from down the road.
Oh wow!
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's pretty clever. I'm not. I don't trust myself enough to build something to mess with mains power, but that's.
You'll be all right.
Yeah,
be all right.
Multimeter.
You only screwed up once.
So, are your cables the same color as that?
No.
Over there?
No, we don't do blue.
No
blue.
We have a white one and a bare one, right? And
white, black, and
red,
green.
Wow.
And then red is the second phase.
Yeah.
I see. We only run in our houses. So we run 240 volts here instead of you guys running 110 or 120. So we run 230
both phases. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's actually single phase, Jim. It's single phase 230 we run, which lets us run basically. Yeah, no, it's just single phase. Nobody has three phase here unless they're running like big machinery and stuff. And in which
yeah,
case
that's the same here. I had assumed since you guys were on 240, it was two phases.
No, it's still just single phase.
Single phase 240. Okay.
Yeah. But it's good because we don't need to worry about changing our house wiring if we want to run things like big linear amplifiers. I believe you guys have got to put in 240 if you want to run them. Yeah. But then it's a bit more dangerous here, I guess. But every plug has a ground on it. The yellow and green wire is the earth. So you find that a lot of stuff's earthed here.
All right, that is the last picture. So
there we go.
I'm gonna stop sharing.
So what was that? What was that in parts cost for that one, Colin?
In parts, $70 or $80 probably. Not a lot of money, not too bad.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Did you notice a big difference?
No. It was just good housekeeping for me. Maybe took one S point, but I don't think it was measurable because I don't have a lot of mains noise here. It was just good practice, basically. I just wanted to make one.
Yeah, I didn't know what I had here, and I ended up just putting everything on a battery.
Yeah.
And shutting off, and it didn't change
Howdy,
significantly.
Larry.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Hey, Larry.
So here's that
Larry,
box that he used, and I think the same one as mine. This is an Amazon thing. If you guys can
flip that thing around, let me see the other side.
Yeah, pretty similar, Chuck.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's probably about 3 inches, though, right?
Yeah, that's taller. That's taller than that. That's taller than.
Yeah, it's tall. That's all I could find, but it was close. I think it gave plenty of room to do stuff.
Yeah, taller. Yeah, definitely taller.
Is it taller?
Yeah, it's definitely taller, Chuck. Yeah. It's hard to.
Yeah, it is. I think it's the camera angle. No.
Yeah.
Little boxes though, because the actual size of the box is really nice compared to most of the stuff you can buy at like Home Depot and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just a quarter turn. That's the nice thing.
Yeah.
I had to open the thing up.
It's hard to find a good case like that if you want to make something.
I like some little small black ones too that are nice that I got from Amazon.
You know, it's terrible. Like I was at the Home Depot and I went over and I had to ask the girl that was working there for a part. I'm like a 50-year-old man. I'm supposed to know where these things are in the hardware store. And this girl's like, probably 16 on a work permit. She's like, hold on, sir. I'm busy helping somebody else. Damn it.
Did you tell her you're the smoking ape? You're a YouTuber?
Right, he's like, you know that I'm on YouTube?
I reach tens of old men every week.
Yes.
but then she might find out your name, Ape, so you maybe will not want to tell her that.
Yeah, we'll find out. But it's hard. Like a lot of the boxes that I saw have like these little punch out hole on the side of them so you can run conduit in, and I don't want any of that.
I haven't looked. So do they even sell those at the hardware stores? Is that where you got that, Chuck?
I got this off of Amazon.
Yeah, because I bought some boxes.
It's sealed.
Yeah.
It's a sealed box also.
I bought some project boxes off of Amazon, the metal ones, about that size.
Then it has these little, these are the actual screws instead of regular
I can't show
screws.
you my license, but I'm licensed.
Oh, there's the inside of the box. It also has a couple mounting spots inside if you need them.
No, it's the same, Chuck. Yeah, it's the same.
I did my RF cap in a circuit box.
We got to drop Colin's channel. Do you still have that handy in your cut and paste?
Yep.
So encourage everybody to go over and check out Colin's channel and give him a look around and a sub.
Yeah, definitely.
Spamming the chat.
Yeah.
Did anybody have any other questions? I think we got to all of the questions in the chat. I don't
see anything else, but
I haven't seen any questions.
Not return. I take that back.
Yeah.
Can't trust.
That's good work. Looks like the same box though.
Like I said, it's hard. I have a hard time finding them. Like I bought these little, they're almost like Bakelite boxes. They said they were ABS, but I went to drill a hole in the side of it, and the thing just shattered. It was a piece of Corning ware.
Yeah.
Damn it. Because I bought a bag of like 10 of them.
Oh man.
Yeah, you can actually see.
You have a bag of 9.
Yeah, I've got a box of them here. That's what these are here. big box. That's what this big box in the background is full of those boxes, just for that project, just like that.
Yeah,
Well,
then sizing is the hard part because you think, oh, I measure it out, and then you get it, and it's like, well, that's not big enough, or that's way too big, you know.
Yeah,
I have a bunch of these in different sizes. These aluminum Hammond boxes, but these bring their own pain in the rear end factor too. You know, like
oh yeah,
Hammond
short stuff.
Yeah, Hammond boxes are excellent though. I've used a few of those. The box that face vertical stuff, and those are Hammond boxes. They're really nice boxes. They're really good.
This turned out shockingly well, given my limited hardware experience.
I am totally impressed with you getting that drilled right, because I had a drill press and I was all science with the calipers and had it centered, and then realized that the curve on the bottom of that was keeping that stupid flange from being flat.
Yeah, I just took a few I just had a few Miller Lights, went outside and
What you need, man.
And it helps.
Got after it.
I should have gotten the brown water out and tapped up on that.
He's a craftsman.
Fired away with it.
I did that threaded rod on the end of that cement stake, and I was surprised that I got that thing straight. I didn't even have my eyes on it, just my regular eyes, you know, no, not my readers.
Not your plain glasses.
Wow,
Larry's got a question for you. He says, "What's been your toughest challenge to get it built right?"
Oh, that's a tough one. Again, going back, it was probably Adjustawave. Adjustawave was really hard to get right, and I have one here. But see when you actually have all this, and see actually trying to position all these components and getting all the drill holes right, sourcing all the stuff. That took me months. I was probably researching that for about 6 months to actually get all the parts. That took a long time, Larry.
The hardest part for me on that thing, and by watching your videos, was the how to get the wire to ground to the antenna on the back and still spin.
Yeah.
You know, because I
it's
played
all
with
little details. Yeah.
I played with a chalk box, you know, for doing chalk lines in carpentry, and I almost had that, but it just wasn't enough size to it to really. I mean, but what is kind of cool about that one, I can use if I want to do your radial thing where it's above the ground. Yeah, I can use. I've got copper fishing line in there, and I can use that and do the same thing, and it can just roll it in and out.
Yeah,
like my flashing lights. That's my when people call me my lights flash and stuff. You know.
Yeah. But, I mean that was the most difficult one, Larry. But after I made that, everything else become relatively easy. Not easy. Sorry, that would be the wrong word. But once you've done the hard thing, when you start to do other things, it becomes easier just because you've got the knowledge on how to do it. You know. You know. I guess that's how it goes, isn't it?
David's talking about repurposing an unused cobweb antenna to make a Moxon. So a cobweb's like a hex beam, kind of, right? Like it's got six. Supports.
It's a folded dipole, effectively.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The cobweb is like, I think because he's got parts to it that might work.
Is that similar to a buddy?
I don't know if it's big enough.
Buddy hex is?
It would be big enough for it'd be big enough for probably 10 meters, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe
10 meters,
short.
maybe.
10 meters would be the lowest span you could do.
I've just seen pictures of them, so I haven't really been next to one. I know Javi has one.
Yeah,
a cobweb, not a hex beam.
Right. Yeah, cobweb.
Yeah, but they're not directional. But they're a good antenna for what they are. You know, they get you on the bands.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly right. Any antenna is better than no antenna. I suffered through one of those antennas that Ape was talking about. No verticals required, no radials required.
It'll work. It's just not as good.
Yeah, MFJ
noise come out of the radio.
It looks like a dang cactus. It's got so many arms coming out of it, bending all over the place. I'm like, I'm not even going to take it out of the. Not that it's a bad antenna. I might use it for one band, right? So the thing is like I might make an 80-meter vertical out of it and be happy with it, but I'm not going to put the 20-meter, the 30-meter, and the 60-meter arms and all that stuff on there.
I've got one of those Hustler BVT, I think the 5 or something. Did it make a 5, 6, and 4? 5
BTV,
yeah.
And
that was what I had, similar to that.
People love those things though.
I just need to use it more. I haven't. I set it all up, tuned it, and then really never used it. I was doing it for camping, for like I was going to try and hook it to my like a hitch on my motorhome. Use my motorhome as the ground, you know.
Yeah,
it's got a lot of
range, so that would work. Yeah.
The one I had was the Maldol HVU 8.
Nice.
So yeah,
it's a Chinese Hustler.
Pretty much. Well, I mean, I don't know. It's sold by MFJ. MFJ makes like 17 different brands.
Mike is telling jokes over here, but that's pretty funny.
It was.
It was a lot of parts.
I would have been better off by throwing a wire over a tree limb, honestly.
I actually think they claim that you don't really need radials, but that's
yes, you
do. You do.
But
you do.
Well, that's like these people who claim that you don't need a counterpoise on your end-fed half wave.
You don't.
This side of the radio.
You do on a 9-to-1.
Yeah.
Did he ever get his car tenna yesterday? I think
he got it.
He did.
Last night.
He got it. Yep.
Did he have to go to the post office and assault
the
employees? Or
they gave it to him in a baggie. They searched it for contraband. Apparently, he's been known to receive certain items in the mail.
It hit every post office in Texas, right? Pretty much.
It did. Well, I mailed it to the address across the street, not to him. So,
you must have transposed when you were typing those numbers in. You must have typed them in.
Did you confuse the package going to California?
I copy and paste with the best of them, mate.
Well, listen, I went and checked the spreadsheet because he sent me a nasty gram. No, I'm just kidding. He did send me a thing.
I got the address wrong.
Right, he sent all the nasty he wants. I'll take my antenna back and go home.
Don's asking, how do you tell when it makes a difference? It's magic.
It's hard, but it's hard.
So one of the things is like with end-fed half waves in general, because a lot of times you mount them either like at a 45-degree angle or you mount them vertically. I pick up more noise than I want to be picking up on there, and that's because man-made noise generally is vertically polarized, and I live in an RF-rich environment. So one of the things that I notice is that when I do use counterpoises, it seems to me like I have a lower noise floor. So that's one of the ways that I can tell the difference. The other one is that depending upon how I mount my antenna, I can put a counterpoise on there, and I can use the counterpoise for directionality because it does radiate.
Yes.
Given that it's above ground. Also, depending upon its orientation with the element, it can impact your SWR, which is one thing, but it can also impact your reactance. So by adding a certain length, so here's the thing, I might be just fine operating at a 1.2, 1.5, 1.7 to 1 SWR if I can make sure that my antenna is more resonant at a given frequency, which means zero reactance. So I'll put a counterpoise on to do that. But, there's all these concepts around, does it work? Does it work well? What are the difference there? To me, it's a best practice to use a counterpoise. Yes. And the reason is that it's AC current. It's alternating current. You have some going out and some coming in. When you don't have it, it comes in on the shield, on the outside of the shield. And the outside of that shield, when it becomes electrified, makes the shield then become part of your antenna system. And it is subject to pick up noises that it wouldn't otherwise pick up. And people are saying it's like
anything by putting a poise out. You're not. It's not going to make your antenna worse.
It made my antenna. The thing is like
people are like, well,
2 grams heavier.
I eat sausage and bacon every day, and I feel just fine. And other people are like, why are you turkey bacon every day? Well, how do you know the turkey bacon really works? Right? It's just a good idea and a best practice, and it's something.
Turkey bacon is great unless you're a turkey.
Right.
Yeah. And see, and when I use the end-fed half wave, I'm usually out someplace where there is no noise or anything, so I'm not.
Right.
But it's not. But it's not just noise too. It's also the current that comes on there that can come into your radio.
Or potentially you could use a common mode choke, potentially at the feed point, but not right at the feed point, because I fell into that trap where I basically tuned up the end-fed half wave, and I put a common mode choke right at the feed point, and it screwed it right up. And then I actually went online and I read, oh no, it's actually got to be is at 0.05, between 0.05 and 0.15 of a wavelength back from the feed point. And I noticed when you did that, it was fine. It was fine after that again. It was back to how it was.
But see, you can use a counterpoise to kind of combat that too, right?
Yeah.
So
that's true.
Marvin, so how high are you mounted? You know what, Marvin? I can put mine around the ground and it seems to work just fine.
Mine's about 2.
Usually about a foot off the ground, out portable. And you can go out there. I'll tell you what, you can take that feed point and move it up and down, and you can adjust your SWR sometimes too.
Sure, no.
If your SWR is not right, and that could be because you're in a different area than you tuned it, right? Because that all makes a difference. Just move it up and down, and you'll find a spot that'll probably be good.
All that stuff is a factor, and all that stuff.
Shoot, when Mike did his
with everything else too.
When Mike did his Cartena, it was like 5 feet off the ground, and his readings were like, I couldn't believe them. I mean, I'm just gonna have Mike tune me one. I don't know. And I know why he does it too. He likes it high because he's trying to keep it out of people walking into it.
He doesn't want to have to bend over to work on it, is what it is.
Well, that's good. I hate bending over.
Don't hate on a brother for not wanting to bend over, man.
Skeeter saying, question, ugly Balun versus Toroid choke.
You're the best one for this, Ape. You've answered that before, Ape. You're the man for this.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I'm not a fan of the ugly Balun at all. In fact, when people recommend them, I'm like...
Likes his roids.
The thing with the ugly Balun is that, people are like, just take about 6 to 9 turns and put it on a former. The size of the former makes a difference. The type of the coax makes a difference. The type of the wraps make a difference. Now, there's math that you can use to figure out what frequency it's going to choke at. Mm-hmm. But these things are very, very narrow Q and work for a very specific set of frequencies. They're not broad-banded. So that's the magic of a Ferrite Toroid is that it can choke across a large spectrum of frequencies. You can get from about 80 to 10 easily.
Yeah, I did it on my 6-meter Yagi, but I did it to exact specs of the guy that designed the antenna. So, I mean, it was he told what size,
show that again,
how many
Colin?
wraps.
Yeah, so this is a GM3 SEK choke. So this actually is effective from 20 meters through to 10 meters. So you can see the 2 binocular cores, and it's just a 1-to-1 choke.
Nice.
But the two places to look are GM3 SEK and is G3 TXQ. Is it? That's these guys are the gurus when it comes to common mode chokes. They've got all the charts. They tell you exactly what to use, where to use it. And you just follow that, don't try and reinvent the wheel. Just do what those guys tell you, and it'll work, basically.
And what was it? It was GM3, what?
Yeah, SEK, Sugar Echo Kilo.
SEK, okay.
Here's tough.
ACK.
I thought you said ACK. I was like, is that
Charlie Kilo?
Is that the British or the Scottish spiritual brother of
Basin? Yeah.
Yeah,
but I think the more common one is Steve Webb. He's now sadly silent key. I think that was G3 TXQ. That's the more common one that people find. But they're kind of interlinked together. Either one of those
them and we won't
follow them. Exactly.
Yeah,
I'll have to look those guys up. That's awesome.
Yeah, I will too, because that's an easy choke to make.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Here's Don's asking. Choke Balun versus bandpass filter. So these two have different purposes. Yeah, that you want to do, and I'm sure Don knows that. So like a bandpass filter, you use to block out a swath of spectrum on either side of the band that you want to work on. So you only let certain bands receive and transmit in and out of your radio, and you do that to protect your radio from intermodulation or from picking up signals that it shouldn't be, being overloaded, front end overloaded by something. A choke Balun works a little bit differently by controlling the flow of current on the outside of the shield as opposed to what's going on with the balance portion of your feed line. So like a coaxial cable is an unbalanced cable, and the reason they call it an unbalanced cable is because it has three lines in it, right? So you have your center pin, you have your inner shield, and you have your outer shield. And what you want to do is that common mode current flows the same direction as one of the directions in your differential mode or your AC current. And so what a choke Balun does is it takes the imbalance of current flowing in one direction and basically impedes some of that to slow it down, so you get back to your balance of in and out for your differential mode current. What a bandpass filter does is it creates a tuned resonant circuit at certain frequencies that will stop something from passing through or not. Yeah. Similar to choke Balun, but choke Balun is supposed to be a little bit more broad banded, and it's supposed to be able to stop the imbalance of current.
Right. So I got a question for you then. I've noticed what?
No, definitely.
No. Well, I've noticed this with my Elecraft, and I'm sure the 705 is susceptible to it too, since they're SDR type radios. But bandpass filters, can I make like some little super small ones? Because when I go out with, say, there's like 5 of us on a like a YouTuber thing, and it's like you you can't use anything. I mean, even if they're on a different band, they're even with 10 watts, they're just like overloading the front ends of those radios.
Together in 10 minutes.
Can I just make a bunch of little small ones that I could hook up? I don't know.
I've never seen a massively small one. They're usually even single ones, even like 100-watt versions. So I'm sure you will get them, Chuck.
Yeah.
They'd be about you could probably get a QRP one about twice. Twice that size. I would say maybe the boxes I bought are about 2 of these.
Yeah.
So if I set mine I want mine for everything to get rid of, so I can use 20 because that's usually a good band. So I don't know.
That's exactly. So I am planning to build one. I actually have.
That should be a build we should do. I mean,
we actually are.
I'll tell you what, the little SDR radios do not like any adjacent signals.
See, I got my charts and my plans and my bandpass fill.
Look at you.
Nerdy, but the thing is 20 meters is definitely
nerdy.
What do you call that paper? I forget the name of that.
Graph paper.
Is graph paper.
Science paper, Chuck. Science
the
paper.
problem is that everybody's building them for 20 meters because everybody's like 20 meters is the money band.
It is.
So then, but if we're all bandpass filtering 20 meters, then we're not. Well,
I want one for 10 too, though. 10, 20, 15 maybe.
Got to filter maybe. 20 out.
Yes.
There are a ton of sites that give you all sorts of information on filters and apps that will just about draw the thing for you, really.
Don says it's not true of all SDRs. Did you see that? So the flex must not be affected. That's what I'm. Oh, well, actually,
use your ELAD, Chuck.
Well, actually, Yaesus aren't as affected, and they are SDR, but they're hybrids.
But I think it depends on the radio, Chuck, and I think it depends how good the bandpass filters are in the radio. Like I've heard that the Elecraft and especially the K3 has superb bandpass filters in it. You know, it's meant to be really.
My KX2, man. When we were up on Mount Pacifico, it was terrible. Yeah, but we were all pretty close though. I mean,
I think that's probably the bigger issue. So, your buddy Green Mountain Radio, is that his name?
Oh yeah,
Green Mountain Maniac, Steve.
Maniac.
I was watching his show was on the other day. He was streaming, so I was watching it, and he was on there explaining about SDRs and non-SDRs, and he was saying that the 7300 wasn't an SDR or wasn't a true SDR.
It's not.
And I'm like, man, this guy's going to get killed in the comments. I can tell you that right now. People are going to come out of the woodwork. But his point was it's not an SDR like a Sun SDR or an Anon or a Flex radio where you can manipulate the parameters. I guess the 7300 is like a fixed SDR, where these other ones have variable control SDR.
If you Bob Nagy, he did a thing on that one time, and he was showing that it was actually on the ELAD. Whereas the ELAD, you can do so many parameters in it, you can mess it up if you don't know what you're doing.
Well, that's why the things need to have a factory reset button all the time.
And that one probably does have a way of resetting it, but that was what he was saying, because you can move things around like on a flex and stuff. Don knows what I'm talking about, but
that's exact. And I think he uses a Sun SDR or whatever. He does.
He's got an ANAN.
Oh, an ANAN.
Apache Labs.
I think he was the guy that they were giving a hard time because he was transmitting at 4 kilohertz.
Oh yeah, he likes that one.
And all these people were playing music over him, like, "Stop being a show off."
It wasn't just. There's a group of guys on the East Coast that do that, like on 80, I think, and stuff.
Here we go, Don starting. With I can't trust a non-variable SDR radio.
I knew that was coming. I was waiting for that. I was like, "Come on, Don's got that pole out. He's fixing the troll."
Well, Jim's got 2 7300s in one box, right?
That's pretty much what it is.
With a few extra bells and whistles, though. He got extra bells and whistles, I'm sure.
I got all the bells and
all the bells.
Yeah, he does. So that guy, he does the Green Mountain Maniac. He does have the 73 SD Sun, and because when I saw him operating 4 kilohertz, he was doing.
Oh, he has a Sun too. Oh, okay. I didn't know if he had that one. I knew he has 7300, and I watched it. He had a TS 430 or 440, and he compared them one day, and I don't know. It was like It wasn't a real. I didn't think it was a really good showing for the 7300 with an old radio, but it could have been. You know how sometimes when you video stuff, it doesn't come across in the audio the same as you hear it at home. But he used that for a lot. But he always ended up using like the big screen SD. Like he ran like, what's the one that sounds like you're not doing what you're supposed to do? The SDR company.
HDSDR is a software he was using or something like that? Or?
No, he was using. It was the one that sounds like you're stealing people's stuff. That brand of. You mentioned it the other day. I
don't know.
Now.
Is that AirSpy?
AirSpy, yeah. He used AirSpy, and then he used his radio. He used them in conjunction with each other. His 7300, just so he could get the bigger screen.
Here it is. Well, he's looking what he does with his audio chains.
Yeah,
he's a
smart dude.
Yeah. You're buddies with him, aren't you, Chuck?
Yeah, the story. I met him where I met Gary on Worldwide DX, and he was like, "I will never be a ham." Blah blah blah. And the next thing I know, we find him on YouTube, and he's gone full bore ham. Where he goes, "Yeah, I did say that." He copped to it. I mean, he said it. He knew he did. But him and I were a lot alike because we would trade antenna building stuff back and forth way back then, and the CB stuff,
So yeah, I was saying, what are you guys, CB buddies or something like that?
Yeah, that's how we got. We had a common interest in building antennas and stuff like that. And now he's like, "Well, I live against a granite hill. It's on your side. We'll never make contact." And we did. I go, "I'm going to prove that wrong for sure."
With a Moxon.
It was hard. Yeah, actually, it was a Moxon. For 11.
And if you're missing a square, Chuck was a fireman.
Mm-hmm. Yes. All right. Well,
Thanks,
it looks like
Jim.
we've come up to the end of our time here today. It was great having you, Colin.
Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure having you on and talking the antennas and talking about Moxons.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
So I guess we're going to sign off. We appreciate everybody's joining us today. Look like we have a pretty decent crowd there, and some good questions from the chat. It's always great to have the interaction there. So
thanks everybody in the chat. Appreciate it.
Thanks everybody.
Thanks, Colin, for joining us.